let's do this. Now I've put the transmission and everything into sport, but I decided to put the damper, the suspension, into normal because this car is tuned to be very sporty. So on a racetrack, of course, it's flat and all that, but in the real world, it is a little bit jumpy because of how sporty it was tuned. And you get a lot of little body motions when you are driving on the highway, even in normal or sport mode. It is not the type of car whereby, like a Golf R, you know, you can cruise really comfortably and yet it can just punch and go. This car behaves very, very similar, like a baby AMG GT or an AMG GTS. You know, it's like half an AMG GTS, the Mercedes one. It also costs half the AMG GTS, and it is it is on the edge of being a little bit nerve-wracking and letting you explore, but the power and the power that it has, and the fact that it is so reactive to inputs, it's on that edge. I mean, I like cars like that. It keeps you on the edge because it makes me I feel a little bit scared about it, while at the same time I want to know where it is, where is it, where can I go more. And this sensation made me drive this car 3 days back to back. See, this is the type of you see all that. You can see me being bobbed around, right? Be reminded I'm in the comfort or not or normal suspension setting, and yet I have to be like, okay, where is it? I'm trying to figure that out, but no doubt this is a car that they did not set out to make a car that is really comfortable in day-to-day driving and then extremely fast and then oh, you see, I even dropped my GoPro. And the danger with driving this car, I notice a lot of times people would just slow down their car when they are in front of me in order to catch another glimpse. Yeah, sorry for that. Just like this Auza in front of me, he's been driving rather erratically just to catch a glimpse of this car. Okay. The whole car looks angry, sounds angry, behaves angry, and the horn! The horn! And you know what? While I feel that little bit scary, nerve-wracking, I haven't heard a single bit of the tire squeals. Amazing tires and very high limit. This is the kind of car whereby I need to improve my driving skills to be able to explore where can I bring it to, and of course beyond that wouldn't be public roads anymore, because regardless how this looks, we rarely drive more than what we should be doing. The brakes are really good, slows down the car easily, and the engine, it pulls. And I'm sure Toyota has done the calibration with its transmission and all that, because it's really good and is not that pedestrian in terms of how the whole car behaves, you know. there's a lot more emphasis on how this car would do on track than how this car would do in your daily lives. Yeah. See, the thing is this, there are so many moments that I was thinking, am I going too fast? But there's no tire squeals yet. It's not the fact that this car has really good soundproofing from under the carriage, but the body of the car, the light, it has that much grip. Yeah, it has that much grip. The chassis is so good that even when you thought you are overloading the tires hasn't been overloaded yet. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, there are cars that are easier to drive. There are cars that you see that goes over speed bumps in a more civilized manner than this. But this is the kind of car that makes you feel alive. You want that in a sports car. That's the reason why you pay for a sports car at the first place, right? If you're buying this car just for day-to-day driving, just to look cool and have a little bit of performance, I think in terms of refinement, in terms of comfort, the Cayman does it better. All right, this thing is let's put it this way, not so friendly to your girlfriends. Even when they go up the car or when they're sitting in the car, going out for a dinner with you. Yeah. What a wonderful morning. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, guys. Good morning. Bobby here. The Supra. Sorry about the sun's glare, but I just kind of felt that I want you guys to take a look at the beautiful scenery. That's Kuala Lumpur down there, and what a beautiful city, what a beautiful place. Half an hour away from KL. Here we are, and yep, the new Supra. Just look at it. It's a beautiful car, isn't it? The design is just excellent. Look at the exhaust cooling down. Comes with amazing tires, the Pilot Super Sport. Damn, these babies are just excellent. Alright. So, do I want to go on about how much of a collaboration with BMW is? Blah blah, boring, right? This is the angle that reminds you of the 4th generation Supra, where the front sort of curved downwards, and the profile that you see here, yeah, it's totally alright. But from here onwards is their own take on how they want it to be, what they envision it should be like, and I think they've done a very, very great job. In terms of the styling, it is just a beautiful car, and it's time. I mean, we're living in a time to celebrate that Toyota has 2 rear-wheel drive sports cars for enthusiasts like us. And sorry for the wind. Well, that's rather windy and a little bit cold. And we have 2 rear-wheel drive, very, very sporty cars from Toyota at the same time. right? The 86, and then this boy here. Let's get the nonsense out of the way, Bobby. Oh, especially the fanboys, right? They should set out on their own. Uh, this is just a rebody Z4, blah 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 blah. Nonsense. Right? If that's what you mean, it has its own unique exterior, interior, and all that. If it's a platform that you're saying, or engine and all that, then do you walk up to a Rolls Royce and say that it's a 7 Series, right? It's nonsense. I mean, let's accept the fact that all those Japanese sports cars in the 90s was from a time of excess where Japan's economy was booming. There were a lot of hot money out there. People would just buy anything they like, and then car makers would just throw anything in. And we live in a different era now, an era of Greta Thunberg's, an era of youngsters spend too much time behind the keyboard visiting car forums and resulting in being able to basically, if you guys or your parents has the money, would put down the money, then they of course can make more, right? We can't, right? We can't afford, and hence making sports cars is a money losing business because there's just not so many people buying them. And who's doing charity here? Will you open a bakery and make just one kind of bread that some pastry enthusiast would want you to do, that showcases your skills as a bread maker, and you lose money off it? No way, right? Yeah, sort of. What a weird analogy, but basically nobody is out there doing charity, and these car makers, they have a board to answer to, they have shareholders to answer to. You just imagine this: if Toyota were to announce, we are now embarking on a volume production supercar to go against Ferrari, be it the what F8 Tributo or the 812 Superfast, conquering the hypermarket segment, I bet you their share price would drop immediately, right? Because it doesn't make sense, right? And it's very hard to turn a profit in this kind of cars. So what Toyota set forth to do is actually something that has been going around. You see Mazda actively collaborates with other makers to amortize its platform, right? MX-5 with the Fiat Abarth or Fiat Spider or the Abarth Spider, I don't know what, and then with Mitsuoka, right? And Mazda 2 with Toyota in US as the Yaris previously. All these collaborations happen. It's the real scenario in the car industry. But I applaud what Toyota is doing, because by doing this, it means enthusiasts like us who are not so rich, who can, I mean, there are only a handful of people who can afford all the crazy Ferraris and Lamborghinis and all that, right? But cars at this price point, the Cayman price point is very much welcome. The 86 price point is very much welcome. We thank you, Toyota, for doing that. They don't need to make these cars to make that kind of money, but because they are basically, you can imagine them sitting down and saying, we need to do something for these enthusiasts. We want them to feel the magic, to feel the drive, but it cannot be a money losing business. It must make sense for both sides, for the adults and the kids, right? So by doing it together with Subaru, right, having a boxer engine in the 86, a small sports cars, rear-wheel drive, around the price point of a Corolla globally or Camry, and then This one with, of course, BMW, it rationalizes the 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 whole point of why they're in the car business, and all that. Because car business is a cutthroat business, is a 5-6% profit margin if you're lucky kind of business, um, and they hire hundreds of thousands of staff. So you don't want them to lose their jobs, right? It's a high stakes thing. It's not just for you behind the keyboard, blah 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 blah. It's not like that. It's not like that. All right. Now, on the other hand, of course, I'm a car guy as well. On the other hand, did I laugh at it when it first came out? I was like, of course, laughing in a way, but in another way also, that kind of sadness comes from understanding how the industry is moving about, and you can't expect a car maker to pull off an LFA every 10 years, right? It's gonna waste a lot of money. So, yeah, the sad thing is that now the Supra name, even though back then it ranks rather high up the hierarchy chart of automotive cult legendary status, whatever, um, it was up there. This guy certainly wouldn't be anymore, right? This Supra. It's in terms of if they want to rationalize, if they wanted to rationalize the whole thing in terms of performance, this guy beats the old one by far. He would have beaten the old one anytime, right? In terms of dimensions, they're similar, In terms of a layout, two-seater, straight six engine up front, everything, all this, it checks all the boxes. It definitely checks all the boxes. And if you think about it, the Supra back in those days weren't created to exist in the top of the supercar food chain. It never did, right? It was the modifications that comes after the Blitz, all these companies, Veilside or HKS and all that. It was during that era where Japan has so many tuners that created all these special versions and made those cars so capable and became a tuner's dream, right? These cars were like what, 300 horsepower, 320 horsepower, 280 horsepower. They weren't at that kind of level back then, right? So, but of course, the GTR 35 decided to try and exist in that sphere, and prices of the GTR has ballooned from 50-60,000 US dollar back in 2007 to about 200,000 US dollar now in 2019. It's one of the longest running supercars, and that also tells you how much time Nissan needs to amortize the GTR. You satisfy your fans for one time, yes, they're happy with it, but then it's 12, 13, 14 years of amortization going down there because you just can't afford to make another one, right? So, yeah, that out. Let's talk about the interior. Let's have a look at it. All right. So, I understand in the car making business. There are players like Aston Martin. They're small now that they have to survive. They have to find ways to survive while not lose money. If not, they will fold and packed up and get sold away, right? And then lose all their stuffs. So you have to find a way to survive. And I'm happy to see Mercedes drivetrain, Mercedes technology in an Aston Martin. Fair. So why can't BMW stuffs be seen in Toyota, right? Okay, let's get out of the way. I'm not interested to discuss that anymore. Let's look at the dashboard. It has its own unique design, which is good. It has this tablet type touchscreen up here, and then you can spot some of the stuff from BMW, which I'm not interested to talk about. But overall, the cabin is nice, simplistic, and I would say in terms of whether the cabin is beautiful or not, I don't think it's even as pretty as the 86's cabin. 86 has its own unique design. This one, it was designed because it need to incorporate these modular stuffs from BMW. You see, this, and this. All these are made modular. Basically, the German car makers, they made them to be able to move in and out of different cars, including this panel. Right? So you have to design an interior that accommodates that. Now here comes my little question mark. Alright, the old Supra, the 4th generation Supra, has that cockpit, right? The thing that wraps you around with everything slanted towards the driver. Of course, that's a little bit extreme in today's world, and it might not be suitable for all these modules. Now, this bridge is very easy to, I mean, this is a good thing to create that sense, that sensation that you are being encapsulated. But I do not know why, or someone globally just mixed up the thing. I do not know why this is on the driver's side, right? This is supposed to be on the passenger side so that you have that kind of design. And at first I thought they didn't even bother about a right-hand drive version. I thought this layout was supposed to be for left-hand drive, until I saw the left-hand drive version. This bridge is over here, which totally doesn't make sense, because there are more than a few times whereby after driving for a while, my hands are here, and when I try to shift the gear knob, I have to basically go through this. Small complaint, weird. Okay, other than that, this is done by, this is unique. It's sort of like a physical plastic over here where the numbers light up from behind, and then the graphics were designed to sort of accommodate this thing, to give it its own look. If not, it would just be an LCD screen, right? And this is not expensive to make. It is a good solution. It is a good solution just to make the plastic semi-transparent and have lights shine from behind the LCD panel and give it a little bit of a 3D effect, right? Because the gauges here are incorporated with the thing. Not the classiest way of doing things, but it works, alright? And I'm not sure if that is intentional or not, but all this looks rather dim. Another thing is, when you customize this panel, remember for BMW owners who are familiar with iDrive, the moment you twist this knob, your song selection will come out here if you're playing your songs, right? Here, it won't, right? Because they changed that to the heads-up display. So this is interesting. Basically, the heads-up display of this car has more functions than the main screen. The main screen doesn't do anything apart from showing you the rev and the speed. But the heads-up display can show your radio stations. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's very dim. You can see your radio station, your FM, AM, music collection. You know, it's rather interesting to see that. All right. The rest of it you have to fiddle with it here. Again, the brightness of the screen leaves some. That's why people say BMW iDrive is the easiest to use. No, it's no longer the easiest to use after they have this new one, right? It's not the easiest to use. Sometimes you really have to guess where the stuffs are. So, oh, it's already at its brightest setting. Man. Okay, it's already at its brightest setting. It glared out. Okay, so nevertheless, in terms of click wheel usability and all that, it's really good. Okay, it's still BMW, right? But it's no longer as easy to use as the previous ones, right? But nevertheless, the function of this is exactly like any BMW beginner that we're familiar with, but the form factor is unique. I like it a lot. Now this is the best rendition of a wireless charger. Okay, it has this little thing here that slots your phone in, but I hope there is an on-off button for me to off the wireless charger while allowing me to slot my phone in, because this is very good in terms of not having your phone fly around the car. One USB port, 12 volt socket over here. These we are familiar. Oh, the touch sensitive function is still there. Nice. Okay, nothing much. The glove was lovely, and you can't even push the armrest to open or access a compartment and all that. There's none of it. There's none. Just two cups here. Rather disappointing in this. But of course, this is not maybe they want to emphasize that I'm not your average pedestrian car. You know, there's a little bit cubby hole here, a little bit of a cubby hole here, which is rather useless, but you can drop things nonetheless. There are no parcel shelf behind here. That means there's just nothing that blocks you from the boot. So basically, you can throw your stuff at the back there, and then hear them sliding around when you are doing your drive. All right, and the golf club, the placement of the golf club is a weird one. Let me tell you about it. Okay, before we go out, very small door bins. You can put some stuffs in there. Rather basic, all right? Yeah, but it's a sports car, right? I think the whole theme of this car is they keep trying to remind us that this is a sports car. All right, the boot. Now, if you ask me, Bobby, is 600,000, will you buy the Supra or the Cayman? I'll get the Supra immediately, based on how enjoyable the engine, the soundtrack, the drive is. Okay, versus the Boxster, I will struggle because Boxster has another dimension of usage. But if you're talking about Cayman levels of refinement and usability, right? This is incomparable to the Cayman because it's as if they don't really care about practicality, because maybe for the rigidity of the body they decided to reduce the opening of the boot. The opening is tiny. Okay, you can remove this parcel shelf and then, or you can slot your golf bag in between there. Can you see that? Perfect. There's a little bit of indentation there for you to put your golf bag, right? But I wouldn't recommend it because in an accident, your golf clubs and your golf bag would impale or just headbutt or crush your dashboard. But nevertheless, of course, there are hooking points. You can hook it up. But what I want to say is that it's possible to put a golf bag. That's it. All right. No buttons here for you to open the boot. Or am I being the one who's dumb? No. Love this. I just love this. And then you can put your cup here while you're standing outside doing your car guy talk. Now this thing is really low, so for people of my height, 5'11", going into the car is not as elegant as it may seem. Alright, done. Let's go back, shall we? Such is the allure of power. Let me tell you a story of a person that I know who has been dreaming, and he's one of those kids where he looked at the Supra since he was a school kid and he's been dreaming of owning one. But over the years, there were no new introduction of the Supra, and all he had was just a dream, right? He couldn't own it because there was just no new Supra. And Toyota knows this. There are so many fans out there who yearn, who wanted one, and they have to find ways to build one, which doesn't include losing a couple of hundreds of millions of dollars in order to satisfy that little dream of that boy. And by doing this, together with BMW, both companies were able to resist the slowdown or the complete lack of interest in normal public in buying these nice two-seater sports cars. You look at the fate of the Audi TT, it might be discontinued. Look at the fate of the Beetle, it's discontinued, right? Because in this modern world, it no longer makes sense to waste money to put your company into a financial situation in an industry whereby is 5-6% profit margins to make money losing projects. It just doesn't make sense. And what do they do with these enthusiasts? Let them have their dreams died out? And by having this car, that friend of mine now, he said that, okay, he's smiling because he knows that he can one day fulfill his dream. Because now that this is engineered together or partnered with another company, with BMW, that would sort of mean in the next 7 or 8 years, when the new Z4 arrives, it could be when the new Supra will come. And this means the Supra will become a model that that will be able to continue on, so that generations after generations of children who grew up looking at them, who fantasize them, and then they start working, they earn money, they're in a better financial position, they'll be able to buy one. The same goes to Porsche 911s, right? You dream of it when you were a kid, and you'll be able to buy one as you grow up. Same goes like my case. I dream of owning an RS wagon, and now I know I will be able to get one when I want to. Yeah, and I think that is a better story to tell than having another hello car where Toyota lose millions of dollars just to fulfill your dream, and then you're not sure whether the next one will come or not, right? And just think about it. If the new Supra comes with world-beating performance, 850 horsepower, would that be a car that you see a lot of people buy and enjoy on the streets? No. Right? And it will be ridiculously expensive, prohibitively expensive to cater for enthusiasts. And I applaud car makers for doing this, because continuing making them is more important than discontinuing them and letting them become legendary status, right? You would rather have Coldplay having great new albums every few years than them dying and just stop there, and then their old songs become legendary or something like that, right? Yeah. And what this also means is that with these form of new collaborations, that means there are a lot of oddball projects can be done, right? If the FJ Cruiser no longer has a business case, maybe the next FJ Cruiser was a collaboration between Toyota and Land Rover. Maybe, right? All these oddball cars that we used to love might have a chance of survival because of this new approach. Kudos Toyota for having cars like this, like the 86, and I look forward for more such collaborations between car companies. It's a good thing. It's a good thing for the industry. It's a good thing for car enthusiasts. Yes. See you guys. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I've done more than 1,000 videos in the past 3 years, or should I count it to 4 now, since it's 2020. Right. I started about mid 2016, and if you want to know more about recent cars, I mean, everything, just go to my channel and search, because I noticed that a lot of people has requests on cars that I have already done. Right? So yeah. I know, right? So alright, cheers.